Have you ever felt that sudden shift, like the air around you changed and someone you cared about just stopped trying? You notice it in the quiet. The messages that used to come with warmth now arrive late or not at all. Calls that once made your heart race now fade into silence. That feeling in your chest, the one that tightens when you wonder if you're not enough, it's real. And it matters. It matters because it is your signal, your moment to wake up and see clearly what's happening instead of letting doubt and anxiety control you. You might be asking yourself why this is happening, and it's natural to search for reasons. The truth is, there are patterns in human behavior that explain this shift, patterns you can learn to read, understand, and respond to, not react from fear. The first step is awareness. The moment you notice the change is not a sign of failure, it is a door opening to self-mastery. If you pay attention now, if you learn to see the signs and understand them, you gain an advantage. You gain control over your emotions, your choices, and your life. It's easy to spiral when someone pulls away. Your mind races, crafting stories, imagining the worst. But here's the secret: noticing is power. Awareness gives you the chance to pause, to assess, and to act with intention. You are not helpless. You are not at the mercy of another person's behavior. Instead, this is your invitation to rise above the instinct to chase, to push, to demand attention that may not come freely. This is the moment to reclaim your own energy, to anchor yourself in calm, and to begin building magnetic strength from within. When you truly understand what this shift means and why it happens, you no longer feel like a victim. You become the observer, the strategist, the one who moves with quiet confidence. Imagine the relief of knowing that you can navigate these moments without panic. Imagine feeling grounded in your worth, knowing that your value is not determined by someone else's effort or lack of it. That is the emotional reward waiting for you if you stay with this journey. By learning to interpret this change with clarity, you unlock the ability to protect yourself from heartbreak, to cultivate respect, and to create authentic attraction that flows naturally. You begin to see that every withdrawal, every pause, every moment of silence is not a judgment against you. It is information, a signal guiding your next move. By the end of this video, you will not only understand why he stopped chasing you, but you will also know exactly what to do to reclaim your power, to prevent future distance, and to transform these moments of uncertainty into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. You will feel the surge of confidence that comes from knowing you can respond, not react, that you can hold your worth steady no matter the external tides. The key is awareness. The key is presence. And the key is understanding the dynamics of human desire and connection. Once you see this clearly, you will never feel lost in someone else's behavior again. You will move with intention, with strength, and with an unshakable sense of self. This is your turning point, and it begins the instant you notice the shift. It begins with clarity, with courage, and with the choice to rise above instinct and insecurity. It begins with the understanding that awareness itself is power, and that power will guide you toward the life, love, and respect you deserve. When someone pulls away, it's natural to assume it's about you, that somehow your worth is in question, but the truth is rarely that simple. People withdraw for reasons that often have little to do with your value and everything to do with human psychology. Men, like everyone else, are wired to seek balance between desire and freedom, between connection and autonomy. When effort is constant, when attention feels guaranteed, the mind often reacts by pulling back. This isn't rejection, it's reflection of patterns hardwired into human behavior shaped by centuries of need, curiosity, and instinct. Understanding this is liberating because it removes the weight of blame from your shoulders. It allows you to see the situation with clarity instead of fear, and it allows you to act with purpose rather than panic. When you recognize these patterns, you gain insight into how attraction, effort, and desire function. The same principles that create tension, spark, and longing in relationships can be harnessed to empower you, not diminish you. Attraction is fueled by challenge, by anticipation, by the subtle push and pull of attention and space. The moment you internalize this, your perspective changes. You stop fearing silence and absence. You stop questioning your worth because you understand that the ebb and flow of effort is natural, expected, and manageable. Instead of feeling small when someone withdraws, you begin to feel aware, capable, and informed. Awareness is a weapon. It gives you the ability to read signs, to anticipate shifts, and to respond in a way that elevates your value rather than diminishes it. The psychological truth is that desire thrives on respect, curiosity, and independence. When someone steps back, it's not always a sign of disinterest. It's often a signal that the balance of connection and space needs adjustment. Recognizing this allows you to step into your own power. You no longer chase blindly, hoping for attention. You no longer compromise your energy for temporary validation. Instead, you cultivate a presence that is magnetic, calm, and irresistible precisely because it is grounded in self-respect. Every withdrawal you notice becomes a chance to observe, to pause, and to strengthen the very qualities that make you attractive in the first place. By understanding why men pull away, you gain a profound sense of control. You no longer react with anxiety, doubt, or desperation. You act with clarity and intention. You begin to see the rhythm of human connection, the give and take, the subtle dance that creates longing and respect. And as you adopt this perspective, something remarkable happens. Your confidence deepens. Your presence becomes more compelling, and the fear of being ignored diminishes entirely. You start to see that attraction is not about proving yourself or begging for attention. It is about being grounded, visible, and alive in your own right. This awareness is transformative because it shifts the focus inward onto your energy, your choices, and your life. It gives you the freedom to invest in what truly matters, to align your actions with your values, and to engage with others from a place of strength rather than insecurity. The knowledge of why withdrawal happens is not just information, it is empowerment. It allows you to navigate relationships with wisdom, to respond instead of reacting, and to preserve your dignity while maintaining magnetic presence. You are no longer at the mercy of another's actions. You are fully in charge of your response, your growth, and your journey toward fulfillment. The instinct to chase harder when someone steps back is one of the most dangerous traps we fall into, yet it feels almost impossible to resist. Your mind tells you to call again, to message, to prove your worth, to fill the silence with effort. It whispers that if you just try harder, he will return, that attention must be earned through persistence. But this instinct is a reflex, not a strategy. It triggers the very outcome you fear most, pushing him further away. Psychological research shows that people often value what feels scarce, what is not forced, what emerges naturally rather than under pressure. Chasing too hard breaks that natural rhythm. It communicates neediness rather than confidence, desperation rather than allure. The key is to pause, to resist the urge to overpursue, and to reclaim your own emotional power. Stopping the chase is not about giving up. It is about stepping into strength. It is about realizing that your energy is your most valuable asset, and it cannot be spent trying to control someone else's feelings. Every text sent in panic, every call made out of fear, chips away at your presence, your dignity, your magnetic power. When you hold back with intention, when you step into calm rather than chaos, you reclaim your center. You begin to realize that attraction is not a transaction, that effort is not a currency to be traded, and that respect cannot be bought through pleading or overinvestment. You discover that the quiet, composed version of yourself, the one who does not need to prove or chase, is infinitely more compelling than the one who scrambles for validation. This restraint is not passive. It is strategic, deliberate, and deeply powerful. It allows you to observe, to understand, and to respond intelligently rather than react impulsively. You can see the dynamics clearly, the withdrawal, the pause, the shift, and you can choose your next move from a place of awareness. This clarity gives you an edge, a sense of control that transforms anxiety into confidence. Every moment of silence is no longer a source of panic. It becomes a mirror reflecting your strength, your patience, and your capacity to value yourself above fleeting attention. You begin to see that true allure is rooted in presence, self-respect, and autonomy. The emotional reward of mastering this pause is profound. You feel your heartbeat steady, your thoughts clear, your decisions intentional. You no longer invest energy where it is not reciprocated. You feel the magnetic pull of self-possession. The way calm, confident energy draws attention without effort. You understand that his absence is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but a natural fluctuation that allows you to shine even brighter. You realize that chasing diminishes your value while restraint amplifies it. When you embrace this principle, everything changes. You no longer fear silence. You no longer overanalyze every word, every delay, every gesture. You act from clarity and strength. You reclaim the power of your presence, the power of your energy, the power to command respect without demanding it. You step into a new version of yourself, confident, composed, magnetic, and completely in control of how you respond to the ebb and flow of connection. This is the turning point where anxiety is replaced by strategy, fear is replaced by confidence, and chasing is replaced by mastery. Once you stop chasing, the next challenge is reclaiming your emotional balance. Anxiety and fear have a way of creeping in, even when you intellectually understand the dynamics at play. Your heart may race when your phone doesn't buzz, your mind may spiral through what-ifs, and your body carries tension you don't even notice. This is natural. The key is not to suppress it, but to confront it with awareness and control. Emotional mastery begins with presence. When you observe your feelings without judgment, you create space between impulse and action. This gap is where your power lives. Breathing deeply, pausing before reacting, and allowing yourself to feel without overthinking transforms anxiety into clarity. Every moment you practice this, you strengthen neural pathways that prioritize conscious choice over instinctive reaction. You begin to own your emotional state instead of letting someone else dictate it. Regaining balance is not just about calmness, it is about magnetism. Science shows that confidence and composure are incredibly attractive because they signal stability and self-possession. When you regulate your emotions, you communicate power without speaking a word. Every interaction, every glance, every subtle energy you project becomes a statement. You are grounded, unshakable, and fully aware of your value. This is the kind of energy that draws attention naturally, without effort, without chase. It is a transformation that shifts the dynamic completely. Instead of being consumed by someone else's choices, you radiate strength that invites them to meet you on your level. Practical techniques reinforce this balance. Mindfulness, journaling, and focused breathing are tools that anchor you in the present moment. Each time you pause, reflect, and breathe, you strengthen the part of your mind that observes before reacting. This allows you to respond intentionally rather than emotionally. You begin to notice the subtle cues in behavior without projecting fear onto them. You recognize patterns and rhythms, giving you the ability to navigate relationships with clarity and confidence. Your energy becomes deliberate, not chaotic. Your presence felt rather than begged for. Every small moment of self-regulation compounds, building a magnetic aura that is impossible to ignore. The emotional reward is profound. Imagine moving through life with a calm, steady pulse even when someone's attention wavers. Imagine feeling anchored in your worth, independent of another person's validation. This is freedom, the freedom to invest in yourself, to prioritize your growth, and to engage in connection from a place of strength rather than need. This emotional sovereignty transforms not only relationships, but your perception of yourself. You no longer feel adrift in uncertainty. Instead, you feel grounded, intentional, and in control. The anxiety that once pulled you toward desperation now becomes fuel for growth, patience, and self-respect. When you master this balance, you step into a new realm of personal power. You are no longer reacting to withdrawal or chasing validation. You are observing, understanding, and acting with deliberate intention. Each breath, each pause, each conscious choice strengthens your presence, your confidence, and your magnetic energy. This is the moment where fear of loss fades, replaced by clarity and composure. You are no longer a passive participant in someone else's attention. You are fully in command of your own emotional world. This is not just balance. It is empowerment, a foundation for every decision, every interaction, and every relationship that follows. Your sense of self-worth cannot be dependent on another person's attention. When you tie your value to someone else's actions, every pause, every delay, every withdrawal becomes a storm that shakes your confidence. But the truth is this: your worth exists independently of their behavior. It is rooted in who you are, the energy you carry, the intentions you uphold, and the life you are building for yourself. Self-worth is not a reflection of someone else's desire. It is the foundation that allows you to stand tall, steady, and magnetic even in the face of uncertainty. When you internalize this, you release the exhausting need for validation, and suddenly the power dynamic shifts. You become the center of your own world, not a reaction to someone else's whims. Recognizing your intrinsic value is transformational because it reshapes every interaction. You begin to engage with others from a position of confidence, not desperation. You no longer measure your attractiveness, your charm, or your lovability by how much effort someone else invests in you. Instead, you radiate certainty, independence, and energy that is irresistible precisely because it is self-generated. This is the energy that draws attention naturally, not through pleading or chasing, but through presence and alignment with your own life and purpose. You are no longer asking to be seen. You are already seen by the world and by yourself. Research shows that people are inherently attracted to confidence that is grounded in self-worth rather than external validation. The more you cultivate your own value, the more magnetic you become. Every action you take, every word you speak, every choice you make becomes a statement of integrity and self-possession. This is not arrogance, this is power rooted in awareness. When you feel your value internally, you no longer fear silence, withdrawal, or uncertainty. These moments are no longer threats. They are opportunities to strengthen your presence, refine your energy, and demonstrate resilience. The emotional reward is immediate. Calm replaces panic, clarity replaces confusion, and strength replaces insecurity. Investing in yourself shifts the entire dynamic of attraction. Your goals, your growth, your passions become your focus, not the fluctuating attention of someone else. When you are grounded in your worth, the pull of desire naturally gravitates toward you. The more complete you feel internally, the more compelling you appear externally. You begin to notice subtle changes. Interactions feel lighter, energy feels reciprocal, and boundaries become clear. You no longer overextend, overexplain, or overcompensate because you understand that your presence alone communicates value. Every pause, every space you maintain is no longer uncomfortable, it is magnetic. This realization is liberation. You step into the reality that your life, your confidence, and your happiness are yours to define. You no longer chase fleeting attention or invest in uncertainty. You are free to cultivate yourself, to grow without apology, to attract the right energy without desperation. This is the essence of true self-worth, the ability to remain grounded, radiant, and magnetic regardless of who chooses to pursue or withdraw. When you embody this, you no longer feel the sting of absence. You feel the surge of power that comes from being fully aligned with your own value, your own energy, and your own life. This is not just confidence, it is mastery. Once you begin to root your self-worth internally, clarity comes to every interaction. You start to recognize the difference between fleeting attention and genuine interest, between effort that is consistent and effort that is situational. Real connection is shown through patterns, through small but meaningful actions, through respect that does not fluctuate with convenience. When you can identify these signs, you no longer waste energy on ambiguity or uncertainty. You can see the subtle signals of intention, the moments that reveal alignment or misalignment with your values and desires. This awareness transforms anxiety into insight. You are no longer guessing. You are observing, interpreting, and responding with precision and confidence. Understanding genuine interest is a powerful tool because it allows you to navigate relationships with intelligence and grace. Consistency, curiosity, and effort are not negotiable if connection is real. When someone truly cares, their actions match their words. They invest time, attention, and energy without you having to beg, chase, or over-explain. By learning to recognize this, you protect yourself from frustration, heartache, and unnecessary stress. You start to measure interactions by their quality rather than their quantity. Every pause becomes a signal, every effort a reflection of genuine alignment. This discernment empowers you to act from strategy rather than emotion, to respond from insight rather than instinct. When you become skilled at reading these cues, you begin to shift the energy of your relationships. You engage only with those whose presence enriches your life. You no longer tolerate ambiguity, manipulation, or inconsistency. Your awareness becomes a filter that preserves your time, energy, and emotional health. The emotional reward is profound. Peace replaces uncertainty, and confidence replaces doubt. You no longer feel compelled to prove yourself or to chase validation. You exist fully, powerfully, and independently, and this presence alone commands attention, respect, and desire. Psychology shows that humans are drawn to clarity and authenticity. When you demonstrate that you recognize genuine interest and value it without desperation, you become magnetic in ways you may not even consciously realize. Your energy signals strength, composure, and self-possession. People respond naturally to individuals who are centered, consistent, and aware of their own worth. Attraction is no longer about effort you expend to earn attention. It is about the energy you radiate because of the standards you uphold and the respect you demand for yourself. Every boundary you set, every observation you make, every pause you honor reinforces your magnetic presence. This skill also protects you from chasing what is not aligned with your life or your goals. You start to see who is investing in you and who is merely filling space. You become strategic, not desperate, intentional, not reactive. Your energy is no longer diluted by uncertainty. It is concentrated, deliberate, and commanding. You feel the confidence that comes from knowing you are capable of discerning truth in relationships, that your attention is directed with purpose, and that your emotional health is safeguarded. The result is freedom to engage fully with those who match your energy, and freedom to release anyone who does not. Mastery of this skill creates not only attraction but also empowerment, ensuring that you move through connection with intention, dignity, and magnetic authority. Patience is one of the most powerful tools you can wield in any relationship, yet it is often overlooked because it requires discipline and trust in yourself. The human mind craves instant results, immediate validation, and constant reassurance. But true influence and attraction grow in the space of measured restraint. Delayed gratification triggers anticipation, heightens desire, and deepens respect because it demonstrates that you are not dependent on fleeting attention. When you resist the urge to chase, to fill silence with effort, or to force responses, you communicate a quiet strength that is impossible to ignore. This patience is magnetic because it is rooted in self-possession and intentionality. Every moment you practice patience, you strengthen your capacity to act from awareness rather than impulse. You become attuned to the natural rhythms of human connection, the ebb and flow of attention, the push and pull that creates longing and respect. When someone pulls back, it is not a signal of failure. It is an invitation to cultivate your own presence, to remain grounded in your values, and to radiate the calm confidence that naturally draws people toward you. Patience is not passivity. It is active, deliberate power that transforms uncertainty into strategy and insecurity into clarity. The psychological impact of patience is profound. Human beings are wired to desire what is not immediately available, what is earned through observation, respect, and the subtle dance of interaction. By creating space, you heighten interest because you demonstrate that your energy is valuable, that your attention cannot be taken for granted, and that your presence is earned by those willing to meet you on your level. Every pause, every moment of measured restraint reinforces the truth that your value exists independently of anyone else's validation. You become compelling not because you chase, but because you embody standards, self-respect, and intentional living. Strategic patience also transforms your inner experience. Anxiety diminishes because you learn to trust the process, to trust yourself, and to trust your own energy. You move from reactive chaos to deliberate composure. Silence no longer terrifies you, absence no longer destabilizes you. Each interval becomes an opportunity to reflect, to grow, and to reinforce your own sense of self. The emotional reward is immediate. Clarity replaces panic. Dignity replaces desperation, and strength replaces uncertainty. You realize that your presence, your energy, and your worth are not contingent on constant interaction. They exist fully within you, radiating outward in ways that draw the right attention effortlessly. Patience elevates every interaction. It allows you to observe, to respond thoughtfully, and to engage with intention rather than impulse. You gain the ability to recognize genuine interest, to set boundaries without guilt, and to maintain control over your energy at all times. When you combine patience with self-worth and awareness, you create a magnetic force that is impossible to ignore. You are no longer reactive to withdrawal. You are strategic, composed, and compelling. You operate from a place of power, not fear, and your presence commands respect, admiration, and genuine connection. This is the kind of influence that transforms not only relationships, but the way you experience yourself. Anchored, confident, and unstoppable. The energy you project is your most potent form of influence. When you focus on your growth, your passions, and the life you are building. You radiate a presence that cannot be ignored. Vibrancy, confidence, and authenticity are felt before they are spoken. People are drawn not to what you demand, but to what you naturally embody. When your attention is directed toward yourself, toward your purpose, and toward your well-being, you create a magnetic field that pulls the right energy into your orbit. Every choice you make, every goal you pursue, every boundary you uphold communicates value in a way words cannot. This is the kind of presence that inspires respect, admiration, and genuine desire. Investing in yourself is not optional. It is essential. The more you cultivate your mind, body, and spirit, the more compelling you become. Physical health, intellectual growth, emotional intelligence, and spiritual alignment all amplify the energy you radiate. When you thrive independently, you no longer depend on someone else to validate your existence. Your life becomes a reflection of your standards, your discipline, and your self-respect. Others are drawn to this energy naturally because it signals stability, purpose, and strength. The allure of someone fully alive, fully engaged with their own growth is irresistible. The psychological principle behind this is clear. Humans are attracted to energy that is expansive, not needy, to confidence that is grounded, not forced, to authenticity that is unapologetic, not performative. When you center yourself in your own life, when your energy is vibrant and fully expressed, attraction is no longer manufactured through pursuit. It is a natural byproduct of who you are. Every moment spent enhancing your own presence is an investment in influence, power, and magnetic connection. This is why self-investment is the antidote to chasing. It shifts the source of attraction from external effort to internal mastery. As your energy grows, you notice subtle shifts. Interactions feel lighter, attention comes without effort, and respect deepens. People respond to the authority of someone who is grounded rather than the urgency of someone who is desperate. Your presence becomes a silent command, a signal that you are complete, whole, and unshakable. Every gesture, every glance, every pause communicates your value. You no longer need to over-explain, overreach, or overcompensate. Your energy speaks for you. The emotional reward is profound. Confidence, autonomy, and magnetic influence replace anxiety, doubt, and the frantic need for validation. Focusing on your energy also transforms your mindset. Challenges and withdrawal no longer trigger panic. They become opportunities to observe, refine, and reinforce your personal power. You begin to see that your worth is independent, your attention is selective, and your presence is commanding. Every action you take becomes deliberate, every interaction becomes intentional, and every moment is infused with purpose. This is not just personal growth, it is mastery. The energy you cultivate creates an environment where genuine interest is drawn to you effortlessly, where boundaries are respected naturally, and where your life operates from strength rather than desperation. This is the magnetic force that ensures you attract what aligns with your highest self while letting go of what does not. Rejection is inevitable in life, and how you handle it defines the trajectory of your confidence, your energy, and your future connections. When someone pulls away or chooses to disengage, the first instinct is often to feel diminished, hurt, or unworthy. But the reality is that rejection is not a verdict on your value. It is a natural filter that separates alignment from misalignment. Every moment of withdrawal, every pause, every distance is a signal, an opportunity to evaluate whether the connection serves your growth, respects your boundaries, and honors your worth. The way you respond determines whether you remain disempowered or step fully into your strength. Handling rejection with grace is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering it. Allow yourself to feel, but refuse to be consumed by fear or resentment. Reframe the experience. Every withdrawal or disinterest is a reflection of compatibility, not inadequacy. The more you can perceive rejection as information rather than judgment, the stronger you become. You transform what once triggered anxiety into insight. Every moment of discomfort becomes a chance to reinforce your self-respect, refine your boundaries, and cultivate resilience. This mindset shift is not theoretical, it is deeply psychological. Human connection thrives on clarity, integrity, and emotional stability, and those who embody these qualities naturally attract respect and loyalty. When you approach rejection with composure, your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to those who remain centered, who do not scramble or plead, who maintain dignity in the face of uncertainty. Grace under pressure communicates power, stability, and self-possession. It signals that your energy is not contingent upon external validation, and this is the essence of magnetic attraction. You no longer chase attention or approval. Instead, you cultivate an energy that invites the right connections effortlessly. The difference is profound. The person who responds with desperation diminishes their presence, while the person who responds with grace amplifies it. Reframing rejection also protects your emotional energy. It allows you to invest in interactions and relationships that are mutually fulfilling rather than one-sided. You begin to discern who is willing to meet you on your level and who is not. This discernment is not cold calculation, it is empowerment. It frees you from the trap of overinvestment and wasted energy. It positions you to engage only with those who respect your presence, honor your worth, and match your energy. The psychological impact is immediate. Anxiety and insecurity fade, replaced by calm, focus, and self-assuredness. Mastering rejection transforms not only how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. You realize that absence, silence, or withdrawal are not threats. They are opportunities to strengthen your confidence, clarity, and boundaries. Each encounter becomes a test of alignment, each pause a chance to refine your presence. You no longer fear loss, you embrace growth. You no longer feel desperate, you feel empowered. The emotional reward is profound: resilience, magnetic energy, and a deep, unshakable sense of self. This mastery over rejection ensures that your life, your energy, and your connections operate from strength rather than fear, from clarity rather than chaos, and from dignity rather than desperation. There is a quiet power in mystery and independence that is often overlooked, yet it is one of the most magnetic forces in human connection. When you allow yourself to remain fully present and engaged with your own life while not revealing every thought, emotion, or intention, you create intrigue. Mystery is not about manipulation. It is about preserving your energy, maintaining boundaries, and communicating that your presence is valuable. People are naturally drawn to what they cannot predict, what they must invest attention to understand. By cultivating independence, by living fully in your own world, you become irresistible because your energy is rich, complete, and self-sustained. Independence signals strength. It tells others that you are not dependent on their attention for your happiness, their validation for your confidence, or their effort for your sense of worth. This is magnetic because it reflects mastery over your emotional state. When someone senses that you are whole, self-possessed, and grounded in your own life, they are drawn to your energy naturally, without force or pursuit. Every boundary you set, every decision made in alignment with your values communicates power. Your independence becomes a silent invitation for genuine connection, one built on mutual respect rather than desperation or imbalance. The psychology behind this is simple yet profound. Humans are wired to value what is earned, to respect autonomy, and to respond to energy that is centered and self-directed. When you maintain mystery and independence, you create a dynamic where others are intrigued and motivated to meet you on your level. You are no longer a passive participant in someone else's attention. Instead, you radiate presence and power, and the interactions that emerge are grounded in genuine curiosity and respect. The more complete and independent your energy, the less space there is for manipulation, uncertainty, or unnecessary chasing. Maintaining independence also amplifies your confidence. When your sense of self is rooted internally, you no longer fear absence, silence, or withdrawal. Each pause, each gap in interaction becomes a moment to reinforce your standards, to deepen your self-awareness, and to cultivate your inner strength. Your energy becomes deliberate, intentional, and magnetic. You are no longer reacting to every movement or withdrawal. You are operating from clarity, power, and purpose. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to express the full measure of your value without compromise. The emotional reward is transformative. You feel a deep sense of freedom, a profound assurance that your worth is intrinsic and unshakable. Your energy commands respect without demand, attention without chase, and attraction without effort. You are no longer vulnerable to anxiety, insecurity, or the fear of loss. Instead, you radiate a presence that is strong, grounded, and irresistible. Mystery and independence do not create distance, they create depth, allure, and clarity in human connection. By embracing these principles, you step fully into your power, attract alignment naturally, and operate from a place of intentional magnetic authority that is impossible to ignore. Action taken from desperation diminishes your presence, but action taken from clarity and intention amplifies it beyond measure. Too often, when someone withdraws, the instinct is to move frantically, to overcompensate, to flood the void with effort in hopes of reclaiming attention. This kind of action communicates fear, not power. It signals dependency, neediness, and insecurity. True influence, real attraction, comes from deliberate, thoughtful action grounded in self-respect and purpose. When your moves are calculated from awareness rather than impulse, you maintain control over your energy and project confidence that cannot be ignored. Taking intentional action means you act with strategy, not desperation. It requires you to pause, observe, and evaluate every interaction through the lens of your worth and standards. You ask yourself, does this action align with my values? Does it reinforce my presence, my confidence, my energy? Every decision becomes an expression of autonomy rather than reaction. By moving deliberately, you communicate that your attention is earned, your energy is precious, and your presence is not negotiable. This creates a magnetic dynamic where respect and interest are drawn naturally without forcing, pleading, or overextending. Psychologically, deliberate action taps into the principles of scarcity and anticipation. Human beings are wired to value what requires effort, attention, and alignment. When you act with restraint, patience, and purpose, you create a dynamic where your presence is desired rather than assumed. The more intentional your actions, the more you signal confidence, composure, and self-possession. This is the essence of strategic power, not in chasing, but in positioning yourself as someone whose attention is valued, whose energy is respected, and whose presence is compelling because it is deliberate. Every intentional action reinforces your self-respect. It allows you to engage in connection on your terms, to maintain boundaries without compromise, and to express your worth without apology. You no longer feel compelled to fill silence, to chase attention, or to over-explain your value. Instead, you move with grace, clarity, and authority. Your energy becomes concentrated, purposeful, and magnetic. Those around you respond not to your anxiety, but to your confidence, not to your neediness, but to your strength. Every gesture, every word, every interaction communicates mastery and presence. The emotional reward of deliberate action is profound. You feel empowered, anchored, and in control of your energy and your environment. Anxiety fades, doubt diminishes, and self-assuredness takes its place. You begin to understand that your influence is not dictated by the actions of others, but by your own awareness, discipline, and strategic movement. Each step you take reinforces your value, enhances your magnetic presence, and cultivates relationships that are aligned, respectful, and reciprocal. Action without desperation transforms fear into opportunity, uncertainty into strategy, and vulnerability into authority. When you master the art of acting from intention, you no longer chase what does not serve you. You no longer surrender your energy to validation or fleeting attention. Every move is measured, purposeful, and magnetic. You create an environment where connection arises naturally. Respect is earned effortlessly, and attraction flows to you because your presence is rooted in confidence, clarity, and self-mastery. This is the power of deliberate action, the ability to navigate withdrawal, uncertainty, and tension with composure, strategy, and unshakable authority. Prevention is rooted in foresight, and foresight begins with self-awareness and intentionality. The most powerful way to prevent someone from pulling away is not through effort, persuasion, or constant attention. It is through alignment with your own values, presence, and energy. When you understand your patterns, recognize your triggers, and maintain consistent boundaries, you create a foundation that naturally fosters connection rather than distance. Prevention is not about control over someone else. It is about mastery over yourself, your energy, and the dynamics you allow into your life. Every decision, every action, every choice to honor your own standards becomes a safeguard against uncertainty, doubt, and emotional depletion. Consistency is at the core of prevention. People are drawn to stability, reliability, and authenticity. When you act from your values, maintain your boundaries, and communicate clearly without compromise, you establish an energy that invites respect and discourages withdrawal. The more aligned you are with yourself, the less space there is for misunderstanding, miscommunication, or disengagement. By cultivating this consistency, you not only prevent distance but also attract genuine interest from those who match your energy. You no longer chase because your presence, your clarity, and your authority communicate value without words. Prevention also requires emotional availability balanced with independence. Being emotionally present does not mean over-investing or sacrificing your self-respect. It means showing up fully for the interactions that matter, while preserving your boundaries and energy for yourself first. Psychological studies show that people are more engaged when they sense both availability and autonomy in others. When you cultivate this balance, you prevent the very patterns that create withdrawal because you communicate clarity, respect, and magnetism simultaneously. Your energy becomes self-sustaining, attractive, and impossible to take for granted. Self-investment is another cornerstone of prevention. The more you invest in your growth, passions, and well-being, the less vulnerable you are to the fear of absence or withdrawal. By centering your life on personal development, emotional mastery, and purposeful living, you create a magnetic presence that naturally draws alignment. People who are aligned with your energy are compelled to invest, respect, and engage fully. Your life becomes a reflection of standards, confidence, and integrity, signaling clearly who is worthy of your attention and who is not. Prevention is not manipulation. It is clarity in action, a magnetism rooted in authenticity and self-possession. The emotional reward of prevention is profound. You no longer react from fear, panic, or neediness. You operate from foresight, strategy, and unwavering self-respect. Your interactions feel intentional. Your energy feels grounded, and your presence becomes magnetic. The moments that once triggered anxiety now become opportunities to reinforce your authority, observe alignment, and act with precision. By taking responsibility for your energy and presence, you transform uncertainty into confidence, withdrawal into insight, and absence into clarity. When you master the art of prevention, you step fully into a state of empowerment where your worth is independent, your boundaries are respected, and your presence commands attention naturally. You no longer chase, you no longer fear withdrawal. You create a life and a presence so aligned, magnetic, and intentional that connection flows effortlessly, respect is inherent, and attraction is earned without compromise. This mastery ensures that every interaction reinforces your power, preserves your energy, and cultivates relationships that are authentic, reciprocal, and deeply aligned. Your potential is limitless, but it only manifests when you choose to channel your energy into growth, mastery, and purpose. Every moment spent fixating on someone else's attention or chasing validation is energy diverted from your evolution, your goals, and the life you are capable of building. When you commit fully to your personal development, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual, you create a force that is irresistible, magnetic, and self-sustaining. Growth is not just about skill or achievement. It is about cultivating an energy that radiates confidence, clarity, and self-possession. This energy draws the right people, opportunities, and experiences naturally, without chase, without manipulation, without compromise. Focusing on your full potential rewires your mind, strengthens your presence, and sharpens your perception. As you invest in yourself, your awareness deepens, allowing you to recognize patterns, evaluate dynamics, and act with intention in every interaction. You no longer react impulsively to withdrawal, silence, or uncertainty because your energy is grounded in purpose. The pull of desire is no longer a driver. Your own growth and fulfillment become the core of your magnetic presence. Every achievement, every skill developed, every boundary honored amplifies your value and signals to the world that you operate from mastery rather than desperation. The psychology behind personal evolution and attraction is powerful. Humans are drawn to competence, ambition, and self-mastery because they signal stability, capability, and the capacity to create and sustain meaningful connections. When you embody these qualities, you stop needing to chase attention. Instead, attention gravitates toward you. Your energy becomes a beacon, signaling that you are whole, self-possessed, and aligned with your own life. This magnetism is subtle yet undeniable. It is felt in presence, in tone, in posture, in clarity of purpose. It communicates power without words, attraction without effort, and authority without demand. As you embrace your potential, fear and insecurity lose their hold. The anxiety that once propelled frantic effort, obsessive thoughts, or chasing behavior dissolves because your confidence is anchored in tangible growth, internal mastery, and deliberate action. You begin to see that the person who truly belongs in your energy aligns naturally with it. You no longer expend energy on those who cannot meet you at that level because your focus is fixed on growth, presence, and fulfillment. Every step you take toward your potential strengthens your magnetic field, sharpens your discernment, and fortifies your sense of worth. The emotional reward of embracing your full potential is transformative. You feel empowered, centered, and unstoppable. You operate from choice rather than reaction, from strategy rather than panic, and from presence rather than neediness. Your energy commands respect and inspires attraction without manipulation or chase. You become the standard of excellence in your own life, and everything outside of that standard naturally falls into alignment or is released. By committing fully to your growth, you create a life that is abundant, magnetic, and anchored in unshakable self-worth. When you step into your full potential, you realize that your power is not dependent on someone else's attention, actions, or approval. It resides within you. Your presence becomes compelling, your boundaries unbreakable, and your life so vibrant that alignment comes naturally. You move through connection, challenge, and desire with confidence, clarity, and authority. This mastery of self and energy ensures that attraction, respect, and fulfillment are not sought. They are drawn to you effortlessly because you operate from your highest self, your full potential, and the life you are creating intentionally and powerfully. Boundaries are the cornerstone of respect, attraction, and self-mastery. Without them, your energy is diluted, your presence is weakened, and your sense of self becomes negotiable. Every time you compromise your limits, overextend, or sacrifice your standards for attention, you inadvertently communicate that your value is conditional. Strong boundaries, on the other hand, signal that you are self-aware, self-respecting, and fully in command of your life. They create an invisible force field around your energy that naturally attracts alignment and repels imbalance. When you honor your boundaries, you no longer chase what is not meant for you. Instead, you invite connection that respects, elevates, and mirrors your standards. The psychology of boundaries is simple yet profound. People are instinctively drawn to individuals who maintain their integrity, who demonstrate self-possession, and who refuse to compromise on their worth. Boundaries communicate clarity and certainty without words.